Hey everybody, Chris here. With all this talk about the Bitcoin halving, the question comes, does Dogecoin have a halving? The answer might surprise you. Please be sure to subscribe to my channel. Hit that little notification bell too. You can be notified when my new videos come out, as well as when I do live streams. Yes, Dogecoin, the fun, dog-loving cryptocurrency created back in December of 2013. Jackson Palmer came up with the idea. Billy Marcus did the coding. There's a lot of history there about how that all came about and a change in the code as well. So I'm going to be looking at some bits and pieces, trying to piece this all together and tell you the story about the Dogecoin halving and how Dogecoin is now and where and how Dogecoin will be way into the future. So let me take a closer look at the news and I'll show you what I'm looking at. So yes, Dogecoin is literally a joke. Yes, Billy and Jackson made it because they thought people were taking crypto too seriously. It's based on the Doge meme. Yes, that was the whole idea, was to make fun of the seriousness of cryptocurrencies at the time. And there's a lot of articles about the Dogecoin history and all of that, but what we want to talk about is more of the technical side of Dogecoin and its history and the Dogecoin halving that there used to be. That's right. So the whole history back in 2013, the one thing about Dogecoin and where Dogecoin was made from was that it has its own blockchain. It is a proof of work cryptocurrency like Bitcoin, like Litecoin, and then the fork we'll talk about in a minute. But the idea was, and when it was created, it's a fun and friendly internet currency. That is how Doge started. And because it's a proof of work cryptocurrency, it is mined. And the miners get the rewards for validating the transactions on the blockchain. That is what keeps the blockchain safe and secure, is through that mining. Now, Bitcoin uses this SHA-256 type of mining, where Doge, because it was an eventual fork of Litecoin was created with script. Bitcoin has 21 million coins. That is the max that Bitcoin will have up until 2140, when there will be no more new Bitcoins that will be able to be created. Litecoin is 184 million. That was the max. When Dogecoin was created, Billy made 100 billion. That was going to be the cap. It was going to be 100 billion. So it was going to be like Litecoin, but with 100 billion coins, it would be like ridiculously cheap, and thought that was crazy. That is how Dogecoin started. So again, the history was the fork, Bitcoin to Litecoin. Litecoin, actually there was this thing called junk coin, of which then Lucky Coin was made. And there was one other in here that Billy told me about, which was Bells. That was the first cryptocurrency that Billy actually coded, was a fork of Lucky Coin called Bells. And he made that just as a joke, just as for this fun thing. And somebody actually recently resurrected the Bells blockchain because of that history. But Bells didn't do anything, but Dogecoin did. When Dogecoin was created and let out into the world, it was huge. In fact, there was more trading volume in like the second or third week of trading of Dogecoin than Bitcoin had, because it was just so popular right from the start. But what was behind the programming there that Billy did? And the best I can find is this graph, and sorry that it's not really clear, but there was going to be from block number 1 to block number 100,000, which was started 8 December 2013, is an estimation of like 50 billion coins were going to be produced. And the block reward for the miners was going to be random, and it was set up for random rewards. And then once block 100,000 was released or reached, and then up to 144,999, there was going to be a change in the block reward from 0 to 1,000,000 coins to 0 to 500,000. That was the first halving. That was the first halving. And that was actually reached February 14th, 2014. So there was a halving. But the thing was, it was random. It was randomized. And what Billy said was the miners started to figure out some kind of pattern to this randomness of the rewards as the new Dogecoin was given to those who were mining it. And they were trying to game the system so that they would only be mining when there were the bigger rewards giving out as opposed to the smaller rewards. And so they changed the code in March, and it became fixed, and there were going to be fixed rewards. So 250,000 was going to be the Dogecoin per block reward, and then it was going to be halved to 125,000, and they estimated, and this graph was made back in March of 2014, and there was an estimation of about the 28th of April 2014 that halving was going to take place. And then it was going to be halved again to 62.6, and that was going to happen around July 2nd. And this schedule turned out to be like something really close to like 69 days, and every 69 days Dogecoin was going to be halved. Well, eventually they realized that they were going to reach their limit of that $100 billion coins, and they talked about it, and they talked with the community about it, and they decided they were going to get rid of the cap and then make it go forever because it was being used as a currency. They started talking about, well, if we want this thing to not die, right, to keep going as a blockchain and as a currency with miners, we're going to get rid of the cap, and we are going to fix the per block reward to 10,000 Doge. And that's every minute. That's right. Every minute there is a reward to the miners. Now, Bitcoin is every 10 minutes. Every 10 minutes there's a reward to the miners. Doge is every 1 minute. And so it became fixed at 10,000 Dogecoin every minute, which would be just over 5 billion new Dogecoin every year. So that is how that change was made back in 2014, and that was how Doge was set up for the future. Interesting. So Dogecoin halvings happened every 100,000 blocks, approximately every 69 days, but then Doge would no longer have halvings anymore after that time when the code was changed for a perpetual Dogecoin block reward of 10,000 Doge every block. So with 1 minute of block time, 14.4 million new Doge enter the market every day. So that is what we have now. A lot of people were talking about this though in 2014 about, the reward schedule, the number of Doge, because there was a fun side to Doge and its use as currency, tipping and all sorts of other great things for Doge. But there was a whole other side that was the technical side of Dogecoin, how you can be profitable mining Dogecoin, and that was the part that got really, Billy and Jackson just got soured on the whole thing, and people always just criticizing them for what they were doing, and eventually they left the space. They were like, this isn't fun anymore, and they left. That's the history of it that I know. I interviewed Billy about 3 years ago, and we talked a little bit about some of this, but Billy really just wanted to focus on the fun side of crypto and Doge, and just kind of how silly it all is and continues to be in Billy's opinion. But last Dogecoin block halving, that did happen in 2015. The block subsidy for Dogecoin just went down from 15,625 Doge to 10,000 Doge. So this is one thing I saw in this litecoinpool.org site that did actually happen. And then the Dogecoin development team stated that this will be the last halving. From now on, Dogecoin blocks will always have a fixed subsidy of 10,000 Dogecoins. So after Jackson and Billy left, there was a Dogecoin development team that was sort of given the keys, right, to Doge and to keep it going. And Dogecoin has continued for 10 years, and Dogecoin continues and will continue on into the future. The big difference, again, between Bitcoin and Dogecoin is that Bitcoin is eventually going to reach a point where there's no more mining of Bitcoin. So Dogecoins are limitless, yes, and that's a good thing, right? It's good that Dogecoin will continue to be mined over time. So there is no cap to Doge, and nor do I think there should be a cap. But what we will see is that, let's go to this article, back to this article, and what this shows is that with a flat 10,000 rewards, every year, the inflation percentage, in other words, the percentage of new coins that comes in, actually is lower each year because it's a fixed amount of Doge. The total supply of Doge increases. So the new Doge that comes in is a lower and lower percentage each year. I call that decreasing inflation of Dogecoin. That is how that's going to work. But it will continue on and continue on forever. And that's what actually makes Dogecoin a good currency, because it doesn't become this scarce thing like Bitcoin is, which actually I think is better for Dogecoin and its use as a currency. And what this article says in the end, when talking with Jackson Palmer years ago, Palmer said, look, even though there's some griping from Dogecoin holders about inflation, the community has been largely supportive. In fact, this is back in 2014. Big Dogecoin community, they got it for the most part. There were some who really wanted to just make a lot of money with Dogecoin. But for the most part, the community were supportive. The response has been positive because we followed what the community were saying. They want Dogecoin to continue. A coin that nobody mines is a dead coin. So by keeping the incentive there, be it with fairly low rewards, past the target cap, we hope that Dogecoin can continue into the future rather than just dying like the majority of other altcoins. We're having way too much fun as a community for this to just die off. I think that's a great quote from Jackson, because we don't know what's going to happen with Bitcoin in 100 years. We don't know. Right now, the Bitcoin price is going up fast because people are understanding it's going to become more scarce and more scarce with ongoing Bitcoin halvings. And eventually there's no more new Bitcoin. So we don't know what's going to happen with the Bitcoin network there. But Dogecoin is going to continue and will not die off. So that's the history of the side of Dogecoin that a lot of people don't know, that there were initially Dogecoin halvings. Let me know in the comments below, what do you guys think about this? Dogecoin halvings and then this limitless supply. People say it's infinite, but it isn't. It's capped. Every block is a cap number. So every year there's a cap number of how many new Dogecoins can actually come into the system. Give the video a like. If you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel. I appreciate the support. We'll see you next time.